says, that being said, in order to help out more in the evenings, I've eliminated the Wednesday recovery ride. How much of an impact is skipping the Wednesday ride having on my training? I know at some point a higher TSS will be required to achieve all the intended adaptations, but how much am I missing or really missing out on by skipping that ride each week is the question. Thanks for the podcast. No doubt the best in the business. Dane, that sounds like a testimonial quote we should have there. Thanks, Dane. Appreciate it.
I feel like we should be on a billboard that you walk by and it's just our three faces and it says the best in the business.
Like
with
law
air
firms.
quotes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
A law firm billboard.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Nice. So Chad, I guess, what would you say, since you're obviously the creator of these plans, that sort of thing, what would you say to an athlete that's skipping, or to Dane in this case, that's skipping that recovery ride on Wednesday?
Well, first off, those Wednesday rides in the mid-volume plans are the first sacrificial lambs. And sacrificial lamb being something that you sacrifice for the greater good. The greater good being improved performance here. So if for whatever reason you need to skip a ride because you're tired, because your schedule won't allow you to train 4 or 5 days that week, that's the first ride that goes. It's the least impactful.
And it's not a recovery ride. These are aerobic rides.
In some cases, they are recovery rides. It depends. What plan are we talking about? Sweet spot?
Sweet spot base.
Yeah,
those are like Pettit, right?
Those are legit. No, some of them are like Taku and Dans, and they're recovery
Taku
rides.
And Dans
Yep.
Yeah. So, but anytime you're overly fatigued, that's the first ride that goes. Anytime your schedule is a little bit compromised, that's the first ride that goes. I mean, like I said, it is the least impactful of the workouts. And it's not strictly a way to get on and amass more TSS. I mean, if we were just looking to amass TSS, we can only apply that to very narrow situations where your training is super homogenous, where you're not changing anything else, you're simply ratcheting up TSS. But when the type of training changes, when we move into a different plan, and I mean, so many other things change, your threshold bumps up. There are a lot of other ways to advance your performance without simply increasing your TSS. So don't ever look at it as a TSS filler, because it's not really what it's for. And when they are legitimate recovery rides, these 30-minute to 45-minute rides, those are specifically so you can get on and spin the legs and facilitate lymph removal and get the blood circulating. It's not supposed to really impose any muscular stress on your system.
Yeah, and I see, I mean, most of us, all of us live a real life, which is an imperfect life, which is something that constantly changes, right?
That's deep, dude.
Yeah, sorry.
All of us live real life.
We do. We live real life. But so this is like, we get this question all the time. Like, wasn't able to complete this workout. What do I do? And a lot of the time, I feel like if I look forward in the week and I try to be diligent about scheduling my week, then I can see, you know what, this week is going to be really tough to fit in one workout. And I may need to kind of like reschedule things around and kind of shift things around. And like Chad said, if you are going to cut one, this is one to cut. So,
and do know that sometimes I use those recovery rides in a mid-volume plan just to get you on the bike another day during the week for a number of reasons. In some cases, I'll actually add a more meaningful workout in that time slot. I understand that people do want to, in some cases, advance from a mid-volume plan to a high-volume plan, and this kind of paves the way for that transition. So try not to lose sight of the fact that just being on the bike an extra day a week has its own benefits, even if the intensity of the workout is low.
But if you're going to have to make a cut, this is the first one.
That's the one that goes first.
And two, Dane, so I've increased my volume a ton over the last 3 years, where low volume used to kill me.
Yeah. Right.
I'm in the high volume plan right now, and I'm like, I can do more, which is amazing personally. And what that was being patient, sometimes impatient. If impatient, I get knocked back, right? But being patient over actually seasons of this. And as you go through sweet spot basement volume, you'll learn and you'll get to a point where you're like, yeah, I can do Wednesday. You wake up Wednesday morning and you're like, hey, this sounds good today to do this.
Yeah.
And that's when you add it.
And it's tough to see that long term. It's really hard to look at things in terms of 1, 2, or 3 seasons from now. And imagine, if I take this slowly and I do everything right, I will actually be able to do this and benefit from it and do more.
Yeah.
Seasons ahead.
I look at my TSS chart and I go to 4 years on the website, and you can draw this line of my 6-week average, and it just goes up and up and up. And over the last 2 years, it's kind of been flatter. But as you said, Chad, it's been at a higher FTP. So I actually am doing more work. And then this last year, I started doing more 2-hour workouts. And now that I'm coming 2-hour workouts that maybe aren't as intense, and now I'm doing sweet spot base high volume 1, sweet spot base 1 high volume. They're a little bit more intense during the week, but less time. And that's been a great switch, where less volume, but more intensity, because I'm doing more sweet spot daily. And I know I'm sick right now, but my son's sick. Everyone's sick.
Everyone's sick.
Everyone
right
at
now.
our kids' school is sick.
I'm fine. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you sound fine. But anyways, I just want to say that it's okay to skip. The consistency is what's important. And consistency over a season, you'll be able to apply more. And then also, to me, I've mentioned this 1,000 times, but nutrition, really getting, like nailing your nutrition. We mentioned endurance diet, eating a bunch of plants helps a lot. And those French fries, man.
Yeah. Let's go into Joe's question, which has no relation to me at all in this case. He says, as it's flu season in the Northern Hemisphere, I thought I'd ask about the physiological impact of these colds and flus. We've all heard we've all heard to stop training if an illness symptoms go below the neck. This is like the old, like wives' tale advice sort of a thing, right?
Yeah, I think it's
and he says, but what is
questionable.
Yeah. What is it that's happening to stop us? The muscles are still there, presumably the glycogen is. So apart from feeling terrible, what's stopping us from training and benefiting from training when sick? To be clear, this is just for interest's sake. I'll be hiding under my duvet at the first sign of a sore throat. Cheers from Joe.
That is the distinction too right there, because nothing's stopping you from training, aside from good sense.
Yeah.
But so much is stopping you from benefiting.
Yes.
I mean, you have to look at your body in terms of its resources, and it has a finite amount of resources. You can only do so much. You can only handle so much stress, and that stress comes at all angles, and illness is one of those stressors. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to pile training stress on top of an illness stress, in addition to any other forms of stress you're dealing with, you can't expect to heal, to get faster, to accommodate everything else.
Yeah, your body's immune system is absolutely tied into the constant training and recovery and adaptation process. Mm-hmm. You're distracting it. You're taking resources away.
Yes, and a lot of people think, well, if I can just train through my illness, I'll eventually get better and I won't have lost any fitness.
Yeah.
But it simply doesn't work that way.
Yep.
Give yourself a little time off. Get healthy, move past the illness, resume training.
Yeah, and this varies for different people. You'll find out what works best for you. For me, what I've found, so like this week, during all the time that I've had scheduled for my workouts, I've actually, which it's 90 minutes a day roughly that I've had scheduled this week, I've taken those times and I've taken a nap. So like I'm doubling down on my recovery because I'm trying to get better quickly through the whole process.
In this case, I'd call that sleep training.
Yeah. So that's just and for me, I've found that if I try to rush back into training, I prolong the illness, and then my training isn't productive, and I don't see a lot of improvement.
Yeah,
and it's kind of
this
like
yo-yo scenario.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, okay, well, I don't know when I'm actually going to start to get the normal benefit that I should expect from this training, and I'm just kind of trucking through and making myself worn down.
Small things like this that can derail an entire season. One little setback leads to another setback leads to another, and it's this whole 2 steps forward, 1 step back sort of thing.
Yep, exactly. So my personal advice is to double down on recovery rather than double down on or trying to train with a body that's distracted by trying to recover from an illness. So
I don't do any of that.
You just jam the prednisone and hop on the bike.
Going.
No, this is a unique situation right now. But I get a cold. I go through the cold pretty well. I think I can train through a cold. My immune system fighting colds is awesome. I'll be good in like a day.
Yeah.
Then 4 days of lull. Then I get a sinus infection, and it's like 2 to 3 weeks of antibiotics and crazy stuff.
That's where you get stuck.
And I could stop training for literally a month while I wait.
Yeah.
And lose like 700 watts on my FTP.
And this guy.
And no, but you know what I mean? It's just a lot.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I've never heard somebody use losing 700 watts on their FTP.
I'm exaggerating.
That small of a percentage.
Oh, you are? Good.
Yeah.
Good to know. No, but then the other side of this too, somebody's probably yelling into their whatever they're listening to right now. Nate, if you didn't train through the cold, you probably want to get a sinus infection. But that's not really
I've
the
done
case.
That,
because you've done that, and you are very productive at creating sinus infections.
Yeah.
Very productive at that.
I have a low IgG3, which means I have problems fighting upper respiratory symptoms, and I also have structural things where right now I can feel it. I've had 2 sinus surgeries and they've helped, but there's one that just pools here. Yeah. I've got pictures. I take pictures now. The mucus, it'll be this huge blob that builds up. It like builds up and then all comes out at once.
People are probably eating while listening to
They're
this.
eating those. Yeah. Now people they were talking about getting hungry for the French fries and to stop it, but it's because I have to show. Anyways, I got a new ENT. We'll see what happens with this stuff, or hopefully I can prevent it, because then I'll be. Just watch out, guys.
Is it one surgery for sure?
No, they're going to, the balloon thing's for sure. It happens in 2 weeks.
Okay.
But they're going to blow it up and clean it out. They're also going to culture it because I don't think it's fungal, but it could be something else, or I could get a gram-negative bacteria, which is something that's really hard to get rid of.
Okay. And that's just an outpatient affair, I
yep.
assume.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, we're going to see what happens, and maybe with the balloon expansion. I'm not sure if that's really long term or not. We'll fix it. But if it does fix it, then I won't have another surgery. But if I keep pooling right here, they're going to wait till I get infected again. They're going to scan it and then see what's
Got
wrong.
it.
Yep.
If you like this video, you should subscribe to our channel. Maybe even give this video a like with a thumbs up and a comment down below.
If you want to see race analysis videos, you can click on it right over here. And if you want to get your coaching questions answered, you can click on it right over here.
And if you want to become a faster cyclist, which you should go over to TrainerRoad.com. It'll make you faster. We promise. We guarantee it, right, Nate?
Guaranteed. Or your money back.
Yes, it's true, actually. We really will do that.
Yeah.